Hey guys, welcome to Monday's Threads. I'm Monday and I'm the founder of Love It, Sew It, Wear It movement, where I encourage you to sew and wear more of the things that you love. So on today's tutorial, we will be making this top. So it is a pussy bow, bell sleeve, I don't want to say blouse, but I guess we could call it a blouse. Now I had made this for a friend of mine just recently, and I posted it on social media, and for some reason, I don't know what it was, everyone seemed to love the tops. Now they were African print, same concept, and they were, for lack of a better term, loud. These were not prints that I would usually use, but for some reason you guys loved these tops. So I was like, what is it? Is it the sleeves? Is it the bows? And it's not a style that I would usually wear, but after the response I was like, maybe I'm onto something. So a few of you did ask me to make a tutorial for the top, so here is the tutorial. Before we go in, if this is your first time on my channel, welcome, and please be sure to like, subscribe, and share my channel, and I hope you have fun making this tutorial as much as I did. Okay, so for this project you will need a bodice pattern or a shirt pattern. I will be using Simplicity 8061, and it has various views. I'm using this because I like the way it fits. There's several other shirt patterns out there, but you know, the fit is kind of wonky, so I've used this before and I like the way it fits, especially around the bust and armpit area. So that's the pattern that I will be using, and I already, like I said, I've used this before, so these are the pieces that I'll be using. That's the sleeve, the front bodice, and the back bodice. Okay, so the other thing you'll need is a zipper and of course your fabric, and I'm using I had a different project I was working on and it didn't work out, so I just kept this fabric and I'm going to be using it for this project. So those are the things that you need. Okay, so let's get to cutting. Okay, so next we're cutting out the sleeve. Now notice I kind of pushed it back so that I have a bit more space. So this sleeve goes halfway between like the shoulder and the elbow. So I wanted to lengthen it to come to my elbow. So I added a few more inches. So go ahead and I would say measure yourself from your shoulder to your elbow, and whatever measurement that is, add the last bit so that you can have that length. So once you figure that out, you can go ahead and cut your sleeve piece. Okay, so next I will be cutting out the bell to attach to the sleeve. And like in my previous videos, you can go ahead and use the by hand London circle skirt app, or I can show you or give you a chart with the calculations that you will need. So I already calculated what mine is, and so I'll just mark that out. So you're going to need 2 more. So go ahead and cut 2 more of your bell sleeves. Okay, so next we'll be cutting out the ties. I want you to go ahead and measure out about 31 inches long and about 5 inches wide. So I'm just measuring that out and cutting that in half. And since my fabric is folded in half, that's why I'm doing that. So that's about that size, and then we want it to be about 5-6 inches wide. Okay, so go ahead and cut another piece. So you need 2 of these. Okay, finally with the cutting, we would like to add some facing on the neck. Now, this neck does not look like a realistic neck shape. So I will be adjusting that and adding facing as well. So we don't want this style to kind of be right on the neck and choke you, like from doing this pattern before. Like I've noticed that the neckline has been a bit too high. So what I will be doing is just lowering the neckline by about, I would say 3 inches, and I'll be making it into a V shape. So 3 inches, and I'll be just shaping that neckline into a V. Now, if you're using the pattern, it does have an option that has a V-neck. Oh, let's see. This one. So you can go ahead and follow those directions. If you don't want the V to be that deep, you can bring it up just a little bit. So just remember that when you're cutting out your pattern pieces. So I'm going ahead and doing that for mine. And then we need some facing because you can't just hem this like this. I mean, you can if you want to. But just for a cleaner finish, I will be adding some facing. So get any piece of scrap fabric that you have, fold it in half, and lay your front bodice on top of your piece. You can go ahead and cut that out and just follow the outline of your shirt. And then I would say maybe about 2 inches in, you cut out the inner part of your facing. And this is the shape that you should be getting, okay? With my V, I will be placing that there, pin it down, and we're going to sew around that. We can go further down. And so after we sew that, we're going to flip it, and it will give us a clean finish. Okay, so once we are done cutting, you should have 2 pieces for your straps or your bows. You should have your V-neck facing. You should have your front bodice piece. You should have 2 back pieces. You should have, of course, 2 sleeves that go either to the elbow or 3/4 length of your arm. And you should have 4 pieces of the bell. So that is pretty much all the pattern pieces for your top. Also remember, we're going to be using a zipper for this. Okay, so let's get to pinning and sewing. Okay, so with the pinning, the first step is to go ahead and pin your bell parts together. Once you pin that, you can go ahead and sew it down. Once you're through with that, you can attach your bell, your open bell, just halfway open, to your sleeve. So I've just gone ahead and pinned it. So pin that and sew that down. So once that's done, you can go ahead and close up your sleeve. Again, you can pin that and close that down. For your bodice, first thing you need to pin and sew down is first your facing. So this is how I pinned mine, and I put something in the center there just so I center it. So you will be sewing that down all around, and then once you're done, we'll just do a quick snip there just so we can have some movement. Turn that inside out. You can actually press it down and we'll have it like that. So once you get that done, you can attach your back and your front together, and you can sew those down as well. Now remember, with this pattern we have darts on the side, so don't forget to pin out your darts like I've done. Sew those down as well, and make sure you do that before you attach your front and your back. So once I get all of that done, I will come back and show you the next step. Okay, so once you've joined all the necessary pieces, make sure that you press down your top. If you notice, my fabric was kind of wrinkly before, and I just went ahead and pressed it down just so I get a nice clean finish. So remember when I said for the V, we were going to go ahead and cut the center. So go ahead and do that. Make sure that your facing has been sewn on like that. And I would just go ahead and snip around the facing. Make sure that you don't go past the line that you've sewn. And this kind of just eases up the tension around that area and gives you a bit of movement. So do that. Okay. And then once you've done that, we are going to, now with the center, make sure you try and get as close as you can to the V point. So I'm going to do that. Okay. And then you can go ahead and flip that like that. And I would suggest that after you flip that, you can press it down, but I also suggest that you sew just along there. You do a top stitch and then fold it, and that just helps it have a cleaner finished look. Make sure, and this is why we wanted the V as close to that point as possible, so that we have like a nice clean V shape. So yeah, you can go ahead and press that down, and that's what your V should be looking like. Okay, so I went ahead and sewed down the edge of my facing, and that's what that looks like. I did that on both sides, so I'm just going to press that down and fold it the other way. Okay, so once you've pressed that down, you can go ahead and close or sew up your back piece and your front piece together. Do that for both sides. Okay guys, so once you've attached your back and your front, the next is to attach the bows. So take your bows, oh and I don't think I mentioned, go ahead and press your bow in half, okay? So once you have done that, we are going to pin and sew this down like that. So start with the back. And we're only pinning one side. Okay? And pin it down until the edge that connects the front and the back. So you can go ahead and pin and sew that. Do that for the other side as well. Okay, so now you can see that your ties are coming together. Okay, so go ahead and sew those down. I already attached my bell bottom to my sleeve. So all I need to do is just sew that down as well. Go ahead and close that up, and then we will eventually attach those to our bodice. So get your zipper, place it about halfway. Like I said, place your zipper there. So yeah, sew that on both sides. Go ahead and close your top. So a zipper will be attached one side and attached the other side. Then go ahead and close it up. Okay. Folding the edge in like that. And then pinning from this side and pin right under the line. I'll call it a line. So what we're going to do is sew right in there so that it closes up our back. So I'll do another one. Fold that in like that. Pin it down, okay, so that it catches the back. Okay, so hope that gives you like a clearer look. So those are my pins, and then that's the back part. So when we sew down, it's gonna close that up and that part will remain folded. So do that for both sides. And when you come to the end, like right here, since this part is folded in, make sure that you fold in the other part so that it's even. And when you sew down, just sew down and continue to sew so that you can close those two parts like that. So you can actually go ahead and pin that. Okay, so once you're done attaching your, what do you call these? Your bow ties, this is what it should look like. So the bow tie, the zipper, and close up. I went ahead and closed it up. I hemmed my the top. So once you've sewn up your sleeves and closed them up like I did here, we will be fitting our sleeve into the sleeve hole, into the armhole. Now you can go ahead and baste the edge of your sleeve. Baste the edge of your sleeve. Now this has to be on the highest length. So I did it at 5, stitch length 5. So once you do that, just slowly pull it in so that it kind of gathers. I mean, just a little bit. I mean, you can do more. Okay, and then take your, I guess this is your, take the body of your shirt. Now I'm just going to turn it inside out. Turn this inside out too. Okay, And then I'm going to place it inside the armhole. So right sides are going to be matching together. And I like to start at the seam, like where that has been attached. Okay, so we've pinned our sleeves, so we can go ahead and sew those down. So this is what I meant about pinning from the inside. So when I pin from the inside, it's easy for me to place my sleeve going in. Okay. Okay, so once you're done, you can take that pin out, and if you like, you can take out your basting stitch. Okay, so you get the idea. Take that out, and you can clean up your armhole. So you can go ahead and sew the other sleeve. Make sure that you hem your bell. And other than that, that should be it. So I'll come back and show you how the top fits. Okay guys, so we've come to the end of the tutorial, and at the end of this, your top should be looking like this. Okay, so we have our bow. I went ahead and tied that up, and then we have our bell sleeves. So yeah. Now a few notes just to consider before making this top. The original tops that I made were actually 3/4 length, so they went like up to there, and then the bell went from there to the wrist. So if that's what you want to do, just be mindful that when you're cutting your sleeve, make sure that the sleeve goes all the way 3/4, and you can do that by just measuring from your shoulder to where you want the sleeve to fall. If you want your ties to be a bit longer, I think mine measured a length of about 31, 32. You're free to make these longer. So this is where it falls at 32 inches. So you can lengthen that if you want like your ties to be slightly longer. So that's another tip to consider. The pattern that I use, I did a size 16, and the pattern is actually from 8 to 16. So I decided to use the largest measurement. But if you want to see or know how a pattern is going to fit with your body, all you need to do is when you open up the pattern pieces, there's a spot on the pattern that tells you like the finished garment measurements. So you can go ahead and measure yourself, and let's say for the bust, I'll give an example for me. My bust area is about 38, and so when I use the 16, the finished garment measurement, I think measured like 40 something, 38 and 9, 40, yeah, about 40 something. I could be wrong, but you want to think about that, and just keep in mind the ease of the top, because again, the fabric that I used is a wax print, an African print fabric, and this type of fabric doesn't have any stretch or any give to it. So if you make a top, think about how you're going to get into into the top. And then if you can see, like, I mean, I adjusted the arms, but you can see that it's kind of tight. Now I didn't go by the arm width on the pattern. I did adjust it. So that's another note with sewing with patterns. Don't be defeated because the first time it didn't fit right. I had the same problem. I still have the same problem with working with commercial patterns, but measurements that I really look at are the finished garment measurements to see, okay, how much room is it going to have when I wear it. That's one. And then two, try on your pieces as you sew. I showed you how the top was fitting. So I was fine with the way the top fit, and it worked out well. So don't be scared to try on your pieces as you are sewing. If you are sewing for other people, just keep that in mind. Whatever measurements they have, make sure you have a bit of ease, maybe an inch or two for ease and better movement. But other than that, I think those are all the tips that I have for now, and I hope I hope those were helpful. So I'm excited to see your makes. If you do happen to make this top, please tag me. My Facebook is Mondes Threads. Instagram is Mondes_threads, and I have all those links. I will put them in the description box, so it's somewhere there on my channel. Yeah, and make sure to tag Love It Sew It Wear It as well, so that I can see what you have made and just celebrate and be excited with you. So that's the end of the tutorial. I hope to see you in the next video. Happy sewing!